President Nicolás Maduro joined forces with young communal members in defense of peace and the country's sovereignty. The United Nations warned that Sudan is facing the world's biggest displacement crisis, with more than 10 million people forced to leave their homes due to an ongoing armed conflict. And a convoy of trucks entered for the first time the Palestinian territory through the Zikim border crossing, an access area which have been historically restricted. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro joined forces with a community youth in defense of peace and the country's sovereignty. The president worked alongside thousands of young people who set out from the emblematic Plaza Sucre in Katia in the west of the capital. The presence of the head of state seeks to reinforce the government's commitment to the new generations and their leading role in the construction of Bolivarian socialism. It is a direct endorsement of the grassroots organization represented by the communities. This march served as an act of support for the National Popular Consultation scheduled for November 23rd. On this election day, the organized communities themselves will select through direct vote the priority projects to be implemented in their localities.
So I call on you to join this popular, constituent process of youth to refound a giant, powerful, unprecedented confederation of all Venezuelan youth, democratic. Grassroots confederation of all Venezuelan youth is one of the most beautiful tasks we can set ourselves, and that youth have power in universities, high schools, the territory, the community, where they work, and that youth have training, leadership, organization, and that youth look to the future for the great battles.
In this sense, national leader Nicolás Maduro pointed out that the United States government persecutes Venezuelan youth, causes them harm, and then expels them from U.S. territory in a humiliating manner.
In the toughest years of 2016 to 2017, 18, 19, 20, false siren song led many young people north. Now, in the north, they are persecuted, subjugated, beaten, handcuffed, disappeared, tortured, and then kicked out of the United States.
Le ponen esposas, los desaparecen, los torturan.
Just now, they took away the so-called TPs from more than 300,000 Venezuelans, 150,000 of them young people. They are persecuting them in the north, and threatening Venezuela with an invasion. You want them to come and persecute the youth here. Raise your hand if you want to be a gringo slave.
¿Ustedes quieren que vengan a perseguir a la juventud aquí? Levante la mano el que quiera ser esclavo gringo.
Raise your hand if you want Venezuela to become a gringo colony. Raise your hand if you want the fascists to take political power in Venezuela. Raise your hand if you want this republic to be free and independent forever.
El que quiere que esta república sea libre e independiente por siempre.
The International Congress of Legal Experts for Sovereignty and Peace takes place in Venezuela. The event denounced violation of international law perpetrated by the United States through its interferential actions in the Caribbean Sea. In his opening speech to the Congress, the president of the Venezuelan Parliamentary Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, emphasized that the event reaffirms that the defense of the law is essential for the self-determination of peoples. In a context of constant U.S. military aggression that threatens peace in Latin America and the Caribbean, this Congress is a platform for denunciation that seeks to call for compliance with international conventions. Law experts from around the world are attending the Congress, which ends on November 14th.
And the representatives of U.S. imperialism say it bluntly, what we want is oil. This is not a fight against drug trafficking. If there were a genuine intention to fight drug trafficking, or at least the devastating effects of illegal psychoactive substances on human beings in the United States of America, the first thing they should do is consider drug use for what it is, a medical problem, as well as a social problem.
When we stay in Venezuela, the country inaugurated on Thursday the third Expo Turquía 2025 with the attendance of over 30 exporting Turkish companies. The event will be held until November 15th at the Simón Bolívar Park Convention Center in the capital city of Caracas. The Venezuelan Turkish Business Chamber indicated that admissions will be free so that everybody can see the business process under Turkish culture. The event's organizers said that Venezuela is represented by more than 10 companies from different productive sectors of the country with the objective of increasing trade between the two nations. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Human rights organizations accuse the United States of being an accomplice to Nayib Bukele's government in violating the rights of 252 Venezuelan citizens. The investigation, entitled Welcome to Hell, in reference to the phrase with which they were greeted at the Salvadoran concentration camp, details that the White House paid to send Venezuelans to the terrorism detention center Secot. Testimonies from over 190 detainees, family members, lawyers, and others with reliable knowledge revealed that they suffered torture, forced disappearance, and sexual abuse. The Salvadoran organization Cristosal, operating from Guatemala due to government persecution, calls for the Human Rights Council to scrutinize violations by the governments of Trump and Bukele. Now we go to Cuba. Road infrastructure recovery in Santiago de Cuba moves forward with Venezuela's support after Hurricane Melissa. The governor of the province of Santiago de Cuba, Luis Roberto Rosés Hernández, together with a specialist from the Ministry of Construction and the Venezuelan delegation, made 2 tours of the affected areas. The Venezuelan and Cuban experts concluded that the main damage is located along the entire southern coast of the province, especially in the municipality of Guamá. Due to the high number of damaged road infrastructures, the delegations will work together to gradually resolve most of the damage identified, given the complexity of the work. And on Wednesday, Cuba's President Miguel Díaz-Canel officially inaugurated the Martyrs of Barbados' second photovoltaic park in the province of Artemisa in the west of the country. This project marks the ending of the first phase of a strategic donation from the People's Republic of China designed to strengthen the Cuban energy development. The initial phase has connected a total of 7 solar parks with a generation capacity of 35 megawatts to the national electricity system. Cuban authorities expressed their gratitude to China not only for this energy contribution, but also for the rapid humanitarian aid provided after the damage caused by Hurricane Melissa. A second phase is currently under development, which will add an additional 85 megawatts to the system. Meanwhile, in Ecuador, unions are mobilizing nationwide to reject the popular consultation and referendum promoted by President Daniel Noboa. The National Union of Educators and the United Workers Front denounced that the reforms promoted by Noboa through the popular consultation could affect labor and social security rights, undermining Ecuadorian democracy. In addition, it should be noted that various social movements denounced the government's use of state funds to finance the Yes campaign and therefore urged the National Electoral Council to exercise control. Also, let's recall that Noboa is seeking to hold a referendum proposing to convene a constituent assembly that would lead to the possible elimination of the prohibition on the establishment of foreign military bases in the country.
This November 16th we say no to Daniel Noboa, because we understand that this is a referendum that is costing $60 million, which could have been redistributed to other urgent needs in Ecuador. A constitution that bothers those in power is at risk. They want to return to that old 1998 neoliberal constitution that favored the wealthy. We are here defending the university budget, defending free higher education. We will not allow an indifferent president born in Miami to take away this right that we won in the streets.
In other informations, the United Nations Integrated Office in Haiti warned about the serious security crisis in the country. More than 1,200 people died and 700 were injured in the third quarter of 2025. The report indicates that 63% of the victims died during police operations and warns that the expansion of criminal groups into new areas of the country is exacerbating insecurity and hindering peaceful efforts. In addition to the murders, there were 400 cases of sexual violence, mainly affecting women and girls. The United Nations office urged the Haitian state to strengthen its judicial institutions and requested international support to combat crime and rehabilitate children recruited by criminal groups whose power continued to go unchallenged by the multinational security mission. And we have a second short break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. For a short break, we'll be right back. Welcome back to From the South. The United Nations warned that Sudan is facing the world's biggest displacement crisis, with more than 10 million people forced to leave their homes. After a meeting with the president of the Sudanese Transitional Sovereignty Council, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the United Nations Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, Tom Fletcher, stated that the situation in the country is critical. Millions of people have been forcibly displaced due to clashes between the National Army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. In addition, 25 million people are facing acute food insecurity, making the Sudanese case one of the world's largest humanitarian emergencies. The Palestinian Prisoner Society, PPS, informed that Israeli forces apprehended a total of 40 Palestinians, including several former prisoners, in raids carried out in the occupied West Bank on Wednesday night. The wave of arrests took place in the areas of Hebron, Nablus, Tulkarem, and Ramallah. In this regard, the organization also reported that Zionist forces assaulted the families of those detained and vandalized their homes during the raids. According to the PBS, Israel has made nearly 20,500 arrests in almost daily raids in the occupied West Bank since October 7, 2023. Also in Palestine, a convoy of trucks entered for the first time the Palestinian territory through the Zikim border crossing, an access area which have been historically restricted. Although the operation is being carried out by the United Nations and various international agencies, all cargo must pass strict security inspections by the Israeli authorities before it can be distributed to Palestinian families. 3 weeks ago, the World Food Programme already warned about the insufficiency of the aid that was trying to get through. On the other hand, in July, humanitarian organizations warned that 500,000 people were already in a state of declared famine as a direct result of the prolonged Israeli siege. And the opening of Zikim is a relief, but the international community wonders if this corridor will continue to remain open. And Palestinian organizations reported a record increase of attacks by Israeli settlers against the civilian population in the occupied West Bank. According to the organizations, Israeli settlers set fire to a mosque in the town of Salfit and sprayed racist graffiti on the walls of its temple. The action is part of an unprecedented escalation of violence, with more than 2,300 attacks against Palestinian civilians documented in October alone. Analysts say the violence seeks to facilitate the expansion of illegal settlements and the annexation of territories in parallel with the Israeli offensive on the Gaza Strip. In other informations, the Global South gathers once again to discuss history, cooperation and international solidarity at an academic forum that seeks to give a voice to the countries of the Southern Hemisphere. Our correspondent Bruno Falsi brings us more details from Shanghai, China.
In Shanghai, China, the third edition of the Global South Academic Forum is underway. Scholars and leaders are analyzing World War II and seeking to strengthen ties between Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Delegates from over 20 countries and major academic institutions are taking part.
80周年，我们都是希望能够和拉丁美洲的朋友们团结在一起。特别是我今年去了巴西，我去参访了 MST 的总部和 MST 的这个营地，以及ENFF 的这个学校，所以我为这个MST 的这个农民运动的勇敢和坚强，以及它的政治的力量所感动。所以我觉得我们之前其实也一直关注teleSUR的这个重要，但是因为我们之前我们不太有机会更多的了解teleSUR在查韦斯时代的建立以及在今天的发展。所以我也很高兴。
The forum also revisits the roots of the anti-fascist struggle, highlighting the roles of China and the Soviet Union. A debate linking history, memory to current global challenge.
First lie is that the United States leading the collective West was actually anti-fascist. It's not true. They were not. And the second great lie was that the collective West, whether in Europe or in the Pacific, defeated fascism. Not true. In fact, the West allied with the fascists against the communists from 1917 onwards. And it was the immense sacrifice of the Chinese and the Soviets and other people in colonized places that defeated the fascists. There were 50 million people in Asia died to defeat the fascists. You know, only 500,000 people from the United States died in World War II. In Bengal itself, 3 million people died.
The meeting underscores Latin America's role in a world still marked by Western influence, promoting dialogue among universities and social movements.
Para América Latina este foro es importantísimo porque es su posibilidad de salir de la doctrina Monroe, entre otras cosas. Es como esa conexión que hay con el resto del mundo, con todos los países del sur global. O sea, en América Latina no hemos tenido mucho contacto con los otros continentes porque hemos estado siempre cercados dentro de pues el paraguas de Estados Unidos o de Europa, ¿no? Que un poco estamos dentro de un mundo occidental desde hace mucho tiempo.
Participants highlighted the need to build a fairer world order and strengthen cooperation among the countries of the Global South. Bruno Falsi, Shanghai, China, for teleSUR.
And after this information, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also, join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.